welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch Esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Peyton. It's just going to solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for RRG right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Laura is going to be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Adelaide immediately to back that fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3. So back and forth.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the final week of CGL Season 13. The regular season is coming to an end, and as it does, you know, we've got a couple of matches here throughout the rest of the weekend to find out who our final playoff teams are going to be tonight to jockey for positioning in the NAPC Open tier. We've got Roadrunners Gaming versus Outliers Esports, and I am joined for it by Megalast. You ready to get this going?
Absolutely. We have a very interesting game. Like you said, you know, both these teams luckily have kind of pretty much locked in those playoff spots regarding some sort of disaster miracle occurring. But yeah, it should be interesting. You know, you still want to get the best seeding that you can, especially when you're looking at this scary group. Obviously, you want to go into playoff believing you can beat anyone, but you don't want to face those big dogs right away. So the higher seed you can get to avoid that will always be better. And I mean, both these teams right now, they're sitting in that middle of the pack looking to punch at least slightly above.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Outliers at the 5 seed in their group, Roadrunners at the 6. Both teams at 4-3 heading into week 8. So here is a match where RRG could jump Outliers. So we'll see what these rosters are going to get to do here as we get into the lineups. We've got Nona and Nene on the DPS, Piercing on the tank, Kuzer and Ew Pickles bringing it in the back line.
Yeah, pretty much their solid roster they've been working with. They don't have too many subs like a lot of these other teams, so this is a core roster that's built a lot of good synergy together, and they've been able to really demonstrate it. Interesting fact about this core, they either 3-0 their games or they get 3-0. There's been no in-between this season with them so far, so it'll be an interesting statistic to keep in your minds tonight. But their opponents on the other side, of course, you know, they're big threats themselves here on Outliers. You got Night Guy and Kaijo rocking that DPS, those DPS roles, Judge on the tank, and then Slick and Aquatic bringing up the supports, and just, yeah, some solid players all around.
Yeah, both these teams very similar in skill. It is worth noting that both these teams, while they do have the same record right now, win-loss, Outliers actually has a significantly harder strength of schedule. Right now, the second only to Cowboy B who are unfortunately fully going to be eliminated from playoff contention at 0-6. So Outliers, they haven't been stellar, but they have been punching some really strong teams, you know, especially when you've got teams like Shikigami, like Red Team, like Last Dinosaur in this group 2 that they are in. I mean, these teams should have a pretty good fight here tonight to try and decide to where they're going to end up for the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, there's no better way to sort of get into this match than just ripping the Band-Aid off. The last week of regular season, which means our map pool is still predetermined. We have Nepal, Eichenwald, and Zervasa. And then if we need those further maps, we have New Queen. And I believe it's I don't actually remember what our escort is because of how rarely we go to it, but there's an escort hidden down there somewhere if we need it.
Surprise! It's
Junkertown.
Junkertown, guys. Junkertown! Yay! Yeah. I mean, pretty good map pool. But as for Nepal here, I kind of am expecting to see one thing a lot all series long, and I'm sure that you expect it too. Your shirt's the same color as the character. It's Orisa, right? She's just the best right now. She can survive for so long in a meta where tanks are not very survivable because of that DPS passive. So Orisa is just like the best at not dying and soaking up damage like a sponge.
Yeah, it's you know, I was the Orisa stan on the FNO a few weeks back here, and don't get me wrong, I still love Orisa, but I would be, you know, lying if I would be lying if I said that I'm not a little bit tired of seeing the hero every single map. But unfortunately, it's the state of the game right now. You know, there's no brawl tank that can really stand to her.
All right, I can speak
in
now.
terms of that, and dive just isn't viable as a playstyle right now. So both these teams are going to run out on it. The
Hello,
Lucio
Beam.
and Kiriko in tow to help that Orisa. And you saw the teleports come out from
Yeah.
both teams, but now they're both on the Tracer, simply to apply a little bit more damage. And it'll just be an interesting little poke back and forth here. Ooh.
Yeah, but Aquatic has already dropped you Pickles, so right now, Outliers, they have the speed, they have the aggression, and they'll get the job done. Kaijo drops Piercing there with a railgun shot to the body. There's no way Kuzer gets away just because that's Kiriko, but first fight will go over to Outliers Esports.
And the one difference between these compositions right now is going to be this Sojourn from Kaijo versus the Cassidy from Nene. And
Oh my
that's something
God.
that's going to just be taken advantage of again.
Yeah, I mean, Aquatic just found 2 headshots, and Night Guy did some parkour to get up to the high ground, and they're going to push Outliers back again.
And Nene has already given up the goat, decided I no longer wish to be the cowboy. Over to the Sojourn for themselves, and it's going to be a crucial pick here now, potentially just going to be trying to charge up these railguns. Nobody's really built close to an ultimate yet, so this should be a nice neutral dry fight, relying on cooldowns.
All right, here we go. RRG finally have a leg to stand on where somebody's not dead in the first 3 seconds of the fight. They've taken, you know, a lot of this positioning on the point. You see Kaijo has a railgun ready to go as Kuzer tries to keep the team alive here. Night Guy is looking a little low, so is Judge. So right now, Outliers, they are worse for wear in the health department, and Aquatic gets the sound barrier off, and Judge charges in with that extra overhealth. But this Orisa, like I said, just does not die. Judge cannot die. Judge will not die. Night Guy for 2 on the pulse bomb. And it will be Outliers Esports taking this fight right out of the hands of RRG.
And it's absolutely crazy, you know, if you looked at the value the Orisas were getting, they're Piercing able to do enough damage to get to that Terra Surge before Judge could even get it online, despite how dominant Outliers were in those first few fights. So it really kind of speaks to just Judge's, you know, ability to be passive, wait for the opportunity to strike on that Orisa, and do exactly what needed to be done.
Go. Nonag has the pulse bomb as the Kitsune Rush comes out from Kuzer. They're going to aggress here with that extra speed and a fire rate, and Judge once again playing on this staircase. The recall forced out by Night Guy. We're going to see the overclock from both Sojourns. Which one is going to be the one that comes out on top? EU Pickles has the sound barrier in response, so it won't be Kaijo. Nene's does fade away, but Judge is so low. Can they kill the Orisa? They do. Piercing gets the job done as Nene continues to put this damage in. They will just throw themselves off the map for Outliers Esports.
Yeah, when Judge is gone, your horse isn't there. It should be the call, right? You need that tank to be there, creating the space for you to have any hope in these fights. The advantage Outliers has is that Roadrunner really just kind of had to expend everything in their arsenal. No ultimates to their name. Nothing really close either, so they should be able to get some massive value out of their upcoming support ultimates, as well as this Terra Surge, which is already online to Judge.
Almost 4 in the bank for Outliers Esports. We'll see what they can get done with them as the poke begins between Judge and Piercing. Once more in this Orisa
Yeah.
mirror. Now Night Guy very low, has to use the recall as we're gonna probably see a Terra Surge here.
All right, then
Not
I'll give
quite.
you a
Kitsune Rush is enough to get this fight well and truly started, but it's going to be Nene that blows the door open. 2 dead for Outlier Esports. It'll be a trade as Judge throws out the Terra Surge and drops it down, and it's 2 for 2 here. RRG crosses 90% here on the point. They need to just stay alive. Pulse Bomb onto Aquatic, and Aquatic is buried deep. Kaijo in the face of the Kitsune Rush is able to drop Kuzer here. The health pools are just so low for RRG, and Outliers Esports will be able to fend off the attack of Roadrunners Gaming.
Yeah, but now they have the potential to just lock the map out with picks like that.
Yeah, they don't want to give it up, but they're going to be forced to give it up here. It's just Piercing left alive. There'll be a touch from God knows who. It looks like Nonag got that touch, and You Pickles going to come in here. No, that's actually Kuzer. You Pickles almost has a sound barrier ready to go. Can they get another touch? They get one from Nonag in the back as the sound barrier comes out. They have the extra overhealth here. Can they find a pick? Kaijo can, but the overclock from Nene is going to be good for Judge. Can they find something more here? The Aquatic is so low, but they can't get the touch, and Outliers Esports will take Nepal Shrine.
Yeah, and Outliers, they did a phenomenal job in that very extended final fight. You know, they were able to flip the point in a position where Roadrunner definitely they had time to reset, get people together, and figure out the actual fight plan to come in at 99. Instead, they ended up sort of staggering themselves out one at a time so that, you know, time advantage they had, that 20% they had to give to formulate a strategy, just slipped right through their fingers and put Outliers in a phenomenal spot to win the round with ease.
Link.
So now that we're heading into Village, you're going to see a lot of the same thing here.
6K GVC.
Neither team really opting into the one swap you could make here, which would be the May, just to take more advantage of the point presence.
And then the
Both
Synchro
these
Link's
teams
in there
probably
as well.
Still feeling confident in the Tracer gameplay, but actually, you know, Outliers are deciding to stick. Okay, no, it was just a very late swap from Night Guy, but
Night Guy just took a second, so it will be RRG here that have the advanced positioning. And are kind of stuffing Outliers into a locker right now. It'll take some work to get them out of this position, as I believe Judge, you see right there, just playing safe through the wall. And it seems like Outliers, they're going to send Night Guy to the point for the time being. So as RRG finally decide to disengage from that high ground, they're going to get this first flip early.
yeah, and now they're just going to be able to set up on point, even though you don't have the utilities like the May Wall. It still is just phenomenal positioning against the comp, you know, the comp's own mirror, right? The Orisa has to come into point, has to come into LOS to try to sort of do anything here, as you're seeing now.
Yeah, Kaijo having a little bit of trouble keeping that railgun charge up and ready to go. Hitting at 40 right now, trying to find something, anything but the aggression from RRG puts Judge out of this fight early, and with the health pools of Outliers Esports looking like they are right now, and they fall like dominoes, Outliers Esports will lose this fight.
Yeah, nice little pick on the Kuzer at the end there, but unfortunately that's all it's going to be. There'll probably be a speed and a TP back to make sure that Kiriko's in the fight for this next one here. Both teams are starting to bank up some pretty solid ultimates. It just depends on who's able to execute first, right? And it's probably going to be the support ults mirroring each other, sort of being a counter to each other. That's going to be the main thing you want to watch out for in terms of who uses first and who uses second.
Kitsune Rush out from Slick early, a big pulse bomb on the Kaijo. Out of there is the Sojourn early, so the Kitsune Rush is just going to be disengaged from for Outliers Esports. They've lost that powerful ultimate. Now Judge gonna try and make a play, not gonna find anything in the face of You Pickle sound barrier. They're just trying to bully Judge out right now. The Terra Surge is out from Piercing, not gonna find a target there, but it did force out the sound barrier from Aquatic, so at 83% and counting. Right now, RRG are well and truly in the lead in this fight, especially with Nene popping this overclock. Can they find something with it? Piercing is in no man's land. I'm not really sure what's happening right there, but Kuzer and You Pickles shoved into a locker there. Not going to be able to find much of anything in this point. Will go over to Outliers.
Yeah, and it costs Outliers literally everything they had. Beautiful spear here means you're going to be able to take Nene out and get some much-needed point percentage building, but, you know, the worst is yet to come, right? You're going to have to rely heavily, potentially, here on Kaijo's overclock to find value in the face of a Kitsune Rush coming out from Kozer, as well as, you know, Nonag has been great with these pulse bombs so far, and that's going to be something even more terrifying at Kaijo. Just, again, you're going to have to be the one to watch out for it.
RRG are in the point, but Nene is in the spawn. Kaijo with a great shot to open up the fight as we're gonna see the overclock. Kaijo so low, so dead here in the Kitsune Rush of Kuzer. Kuzer is dead though. So I mean, despite taking down Kaijo, it looks like RRG cannot get anything else done.
No, it seems like they're just going to have to leave without their supports, which is just the rational, you know, response here. Nonag just giving up their own life, and Outliers have turned a bad situation into a great one, especially with Kaijo, you know, being the hero that stepped up in that last fight, getting that crucial first pick, means that they now have a plethora of ults to start cycling through here. You know, at 60% already, they could cycle this into 2 very clean, quick fight wins, potentially even 1, depending on how slow Roadrunner tries to take this.
Here we go, Outliers in the lead in the ultimate economy. Kitsune Rush out from Slick to begin this for Outliers Esports, and RRG are just more than happy to disengage here. They're going to rotate around the other side, though, and try and get this fight started from another angle. Piercing and Ew Pickles almost have their ultimates ready to go here. Outliers, they have 3 of their own here as Night Guy misses the pulse bomb wide right. Bumper cars of the Orissas there. Judge pulls out the Terra Surge. Sound barrier from Ew Pickles. Now it is Piercing's turn to get sound barriered out of the Terra Surge. A 99% dead even fight right now. It'll be Nene that opens it up. Aquatic makes it a 2-for-2 trade as this overclock from Nene going to get shut down by the spear of Judge. Can they finish it off? It's just the supports of RRG left alive, and they cannot do the job of 5. The the overtime wick burns down as Outliers will take Nepal.
Yeah, and, you know, that fight, it was going back and forth, but the key thing is the fact that Judge continued to stay alive. You know, the Orisa is so dominant right now purely for the fact of her survivability. Even without a healer on the field, Orisa can be a nuisance between Fortify, Javelin Spin, all of the cooldowns that make it worthwhile for an Orisa to stay in the fight. They just constantly are able to find value, create space for the rest of the team, and Judge has been, you know, doing it flawlessly so far across that first map. And Fletch, you know, something that's got to linger in the back of your mind, you know, we touched on it at the start of the match, Roadrunner, they either 3-0 or they get 3-0'd, and they lost map 1.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to follow up on the damage you're dealing, right? This meta is all about survival. It's a horror game, especially for the tank role. And like you said, Judge, it just immaculate gameplay on the Orisa. As immaculate as the horse can be, anyway. Because
Hey.
you know, if you're not gonna sit there and tell me that it's intuitive to play Orisa.
Okay,
right now,
so
right?
here's the the argument I will have to that end is, you know, you have to actually manage your cooldowns properly, as well as there were a lot of clean spear hits. You know, that's not.
Oh,
that was one of the few projectiles that didn't get increased, you know, when we had every projectile get a whole lot easier for everyone to hit. So, you know, there is some skill to Orisa, despite what the haters may tell you. I may be the only one defending this skill, but still, the point remains.
But yeah, I mean, RRG, they're doing okay trying to keep Piercing alive. And it's working to a degree, but just not enough, because Outliers just survive better. And, you know, whether it's the picks from the Sojourn that are the difference, because Outliers are finding a lot of value from their Sojourn, right? It's just that they found a lot of those early opening picks. And RRG, you know, it's hard to survive if you're already dead, believe that or not. So they just need to find a way to, you know, play safer when they need to, and then, you know, explode when they have to.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of them exploding out, I think something that kind of can fly under the radar, especially on that last round on Village there. They were pretty much ready to take a fight when Outliers was at 60% point capture, but they chose not to engage until about 85 to 90% was on the point. Just letting all of that time slip away, letting the potential fights slip away there, where you could potentially force Ultimate to come back into it with a better fight. It was just a very bizarre decision, and something very similar happened on that first round, right? Instead of taking the time to regroup and get a proper final fight going, they just kind of staggered themselves out trying to make these hero plays. I mean, RRG, they have the talent in order to make some of these plays sometimes, but really there's just sort of this basic level of team coordination that seems to be missing, that if they could just connect and they could just tap into it, then I really think that they can sort of bring themselves back into this series with resounding fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been my motto for a long time that you can't win a championship based off of moments, because every team has good moments, right? Even the worst teams in the world have good moments where they look like, you know, a really strong team, but it's the great teams that can string those moments together and, you know, do great things. And right now, Outliers were the team that were able to string those moments together. So as we get into Eichenwald, it looks like Nene is doing a fashion show on Faye Valentine there, and going over to the Sojourn.
Yeah, the nice little show off of Ash, but you know, Sojourn just a little bit better. Those railguns being able to pop off at just the right time, as long as you're able to build the charge up, obviously. It just always is super, super nice. The Ash, you know, you have to land your shots a lot more consistently. You don't have as much mid-range pressure and things like that. But yeah, it's just going to be a very simple sort of match here, same as before. The only difference is Night Guy on Outliers will be on the Genji instead of the Tracer, which means that Outliers are going to have to play aggressive, but they're also going to have to play together to truly help this Genji get some value.
Alright, here we go. Eichenwald, 0.1 Outliers on the attack.
Mar, I think you look too straight down on your free cam, not gonna lie.
For the time being, shoved Piercing back anyway. As Judge gets low, so low, gets the cleanse. They just can't kill Judge. Finally, Nene from the back is able to take out Judge. And without their Orisa, Outliers Esports are going to have to disengage.
Yeah, but
RRG doesn't want to let them.
Yeah, I don't know. This is very interesting.
No, RRG does not want to let Outliers disengage, and on the back of you, Pickles getting a 2K boop, Outliers can't do anything.
I mean, 2K boops, hey, you want to lead them to the cliffside. Pickles. Yeah, Pickles will gladly go to that cliff any single time that you let them. But yeah, Outliers constantly being able to keep Judge up, as you said, very, you know, overwhelming factor. But at some point, you got to look to RRG, be like, hey, listen, maybe stop shooting the Orisa. Start looking for those supports that you know are going to be able to provide value.
Alright, Terror Surge, Kitsune Rush out. Sound Barrier from Aquatic. Both Kitsune Rushes are in this fight. Now Sound Barrier from Pickles here. Can they find something with these ultimates? Doesn't look like it. Pulse Bomb going to go wide for No Nag. Now it's Overclock from Nene. Terror Surge out from Judge. Gonna be able to find Pickles, but Nene is able to burn. Gets a second there with the Overclock. And despite losing Pickles early, Outliers Esports, or RRG, sorry, are able to hold strong.
Yeah, second defensive fight win here in their favor. Massive thing going their way. Granted, they just had to drain the bank for it, so now Outliers are going to come in. They're going to be looking to create space for Kaijo to pop off with this Overclock, or potentially even Night Guy to get this Dragon Blade online. Those extra slashes coming through from those most recent balance changes, and you know, who knows, maybe it'll be a combination of the two. A Railgun plus a Blade should do the trick on a lot of these targets.
You guys are on the same person too. It was funny.
Kaijo is out, but Nene is down. They can take Kaijo though. It'll be a trade of Sojourns here. A Dragon Blade in this small room is not a thing that you want to face, but a great disengage there from Pickles, and Piercing being the only target means that Night Guy has to back up. They're just gonna let these couple of ticks come through here as Piercing is ready to get back in. You know, it's not often you see a horse riding a horse there, but Piercing rode on top of Judge for a few seconds there. But Kaijo recalls right back into that disruptor shot, not going to find anything. And the sound barrier from Aquatic
Classic.
is going to be what puts Outliers ahead.
Sounds
as
like value to
Kaijo
me.
takes heads, and it's going to be Outliers taking A.
Yeah, just the Outliers, they did that incredibly well, but I'm a little bit confused again from RRG. Just a weird out of sync play, right? It was a 4v4 situation. Sure, you were scared off by the Dragon
See, at that
Blade,
point,
but
it's just a good indicator.
the fact there wasn't a bit of an earlier re-engage on that 4v4, you
It's like
allowed
alert,
two ticks
alert.
to come through, you allowed Kaijo to kind of get back, and so now you're even having a castle fight here where Outliers just getting to push the tempo and the aggression.
Able to drop the Tracer early. You know, they're going to get booped off the high ground by Pickles there. So they won't have that positioning anymore, but for the time being...
Mar, are you able to go a little
Nomad
lower?
returning to the fight, going down the staircase here.
Everyone just looks so
We'll see what
tiny.
Outliers can do as RRG have the control of this high ground. They finally come and take theirs back. Sound barrier from Pickles, just a split second, just in time to cancel out the Terra Surge as Nene is able to pop Kaijo in the mouth there. So it will be a great pick for
think IMO
RRG.
she was
They
gliding
dash
there for a
back up
second.
The high ground that does Night Guy as Outliers are down one. They just have to play safe here for a bit.
Yeah, and they've gotten control of the high ground. Sure, might be something they were looking towards, but you're seeing this re-engage beautifully come through from the stairwell here.
All right.
When you're a Resec, do whatever you want.
And in the face of Nene's overclock, you've seen what they can do with it before. Maybe not finding any final blows, but a lot of damage as Judge watches their team fall.
Wait, are they
over
aware of the
dead
point?
before their eyes? Oh.
Okay, they were.
Okay, they're aware. Okay.
I saw the point meter progress ticking up while you were going through that, but I was just like, I wonder what's happening here. But no C9s today. It's just more cleanup coming through here. RRG putting together a pretty impressive defense, if I do say so myself. You know, they're able to sort of make it work. They're not having to overcommit these ultimates. You know, it seems like they're finally getting some of that synergy in line. And Outliers Esports, they're really going to get one good crack at this. You know, they're about to dip below a minute. They're going to have to push through Castle again, probably expend some ultimates to just re-secure this high ground.
All right, here we go. Kasune rush on both sides here. I imagine that is where we start. Slick throws out theirs first. The Terra Surge from Piercing going to try and cancel a lot of the value. And the Dragon Blade comes out. Judge eats up
The funny thing was, I was watching both
I mean,
POVs, and you're both on the characters that was going at each other. It was really funny.
RRG back.
Yeah, and so now Outliers has, you know, 3 ultimates to work with to secure this point, but it seems like unless there's a miracle touch coming out here from RRG that they should have this one in the bag, but as I say that, the Tracer blinks in, gets the recall.
Yeah, so there's going to be a touch. Kuza throws out the Kitsune Rush as Nene, or as Kaijo, sorry, throws out the overclock sound barriers from both sides. So we'll see if Kuza's going to win here. I mean, this is just an all-out brawl for the point. A great spear onto Aquatic as Kaijo can do nothing to help there. Lucio lives 6 seconds on the clock, and it's all blue in the kill feed right now. Despite the loss of Kuzer, Night Guy is all alone, and Outliers will filter right at the door.
I'm very impressed with RRG being able to get that defensive hold there. You know, they walked into a massive ult disadvantage, but they somehow were able to outplay Outliers. They lived through the overclock perfectly with the usage of that sound barrier. They were able to stall out the sound barrier even coming out from the other side from Aquatic. And then, you know, they were able to follow up on that damage as you were talking about during that break, Fletch. You know, having synergy like that, it's exactly what we needed to see from them, exactly what they need to do in order to try to, you know, pull themselves back in and say, hey, this series ain't over yet.
Yeah, I mean, previously losing the map has been a death sentence for RRG. But they've got life. There's no death here, only life. I'm just happy to see that Piercing is able to survive better, because that was like the weakest point
it was just on Beam's scene
of RRG's Nepal, right? Is that Piercing just couldn't live. All the rest of it was great.
Yeah, because I accidentally,
I mean, the play from
I still had myself
both
unmuted
sides
there
was pretty good.
on that one.
Just Judge was living better. And RRG are doing a great job of supporting their Orisa and keeping them alive.
Exactly, and that obviously comes down to your supports playing it a little bit better. I kind of forgot the googly eyes were still in game. I'm not gonna lie, but hey,
I mean, 8 years later.
8 years later, listen, the googly eyes jump scare. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, it's classic though. And you know what else is classic? Eichenwald. Let's get into Eichenwald attack for RRG. How about we? As we get in here, Piercing just trying to, dance around this pillar. Gonna push Judge out a little bit here. Throw him back by the spear of Judge. So we'll see what is going to come of this damage as Piercing receives another spear to the chest. The bumper cars once again between these Orissas. Judge right now taking a lot of damage, but just soaking it all up. Kaijo sees this Lucio. Can they get rid of them? No. Pickles is able to slide away very, very well there on this Lucio. Now Night Guy trying to find something on this off angle. The dive comes through. It's going to be Night Guy and Kaijo on the dive, and Kaijo scaring them back as Night Guy and Aquatic get to work, clean it up. Outliers are gonna hold here.
Yeah, and it's super helpful having a tracer like that, just constantly peppering damage into the other team, sure, but also applying that DPS passive, meaning they're getting that little bit less healing, is always going to be crucial here. So now that Night Guy's on that instead of the Genji from the offense, you're really seeing Outliers start to shine.
User has the Kitsune Rush ready to go, so it will be a crossing of roads here for RRG and Outliers Esports. We'll see. Right now, RRG, they're not looking super healthy. They have to play it safe here as the Kitsune Rushes fade away. The aggression has to come through at some point, and it's still a very, very even ult bank in this fight. 4-4 right now as Judge tries to stay alive, is doing a good job, and Aquatic jumps on Nene. The sound barrier from Pickles just a little bit too late. The sound barrier from Aquatic to cancel out that Terra Surge, and I mean, there's just nothing that can be done here right now. Night Guy is on a tear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to wonder why we weren't on Tracer to begin with. Why waste time with the fun Genji hero? Granted, I know he's fun, but really, you're just putting on such a clinic right now with showing the value that Tracer can have, being a nuisance always in the backline here. Now with RRG having to approach once again here, they're going to be looking to try to set up Nene with this overclock, and that, if this win con doesn't work out, it's really going to be another uphill battle for RRG.
Alright, Terra Surge out from Judge to start this fight. Overclock is the response from Nene. The cleanse comes through. There won't be a target for Terra Surge, but Slick has a target. Nene, it'll be a trade of Orissas though. So this is okay for RRG right now. I mean, they're just getting shoved back into their own spawn again though.
Yeah, but the advantage, I guess, is that Outliers, they have to wait to get all their members back, and you see Piercing onto the Winston because they want to get back into this one as quick as humanly possible, and they're going to try to chase Kaijo down as their first pick.
Yeah, the peel is good there from Pickles, or from Aquatic, that is. The Kitsune Rush comes in from Slick. The dive from Piercing right into the Kitsune Rush. There's just nothing that the Winston can do there.
Yeah, that was just way too overconfident, just sort of jumping into a Kitsune Rush, believing to find value or have your team follow up with you. This is sort of panic you're seeing come out from RRG as their time bank is dwindling. Now, that's back over to the Orisa. It's going to be a matter of who's going to get to point. It's probably going to be on the back of Non-Nag on this Tracer, but after that, who really knows how it's going to break down.
All right, 5 seconds on the clock here. The touch going to come through. Okay, it will be Piercing that gets the touch with the Kitsune Rush. Pulse bombs out. Not going to find a target. Aquatic throws out the sound barrier for Outliers Esports. They're durable. They've got the overhealth, but so does RRG, and it's perfectly timed as Kaijo pops the overclock. So they're still well in this fight. Can they take down Aquatic? Aquatic so low. Aquatic still lives, but Nene doesn't. The Terra Surge from Judge is going to be a death sentence for Roadrunners Gaming. It's 2 for 2 though, but the durable players are not the ones that are still living. Judge is able to take down Pickles, and it's still a 2 versus 2. Well, 2 versus 2 now, that is. Piercing very, very low and does not have the health pool to try and keep this going. The return of Nene could be big here, but the overtime, it goes away too quickly for Roadrunners Gaming, and Outliers Esports are going to be the ones that take Ike.
What was that score?
It is match point.
It's so unbelievably tragic because you saw that going in RRG's favor, but you know, this defense, it just proved to be too much. They couldn't overcome it here, and you're seeing the great plays right there that happened on the other side of the coin when RRG was on the defense, but they just couldn't string it together in the end, Fletch, and so now they find themselves back against the wall. It was looking so good for them, especially after getting that point B hold. It looked like a completely winnable map. Their synergy was finally intact, but they just fell apart once again. Everybody was disconnected.
Yeah, just messy. That's all that you can really say about it, is that they looked synergetic on the defense, and they didn't look synergetic on the attack. I mean, that's just the difference. They were playing so well together on their defense, and they were able to follow up on each other's plays, and then it just went to a 5-person team deathmatch for RRG on the attack. I mean, that's just the way it is right now. And if they can't get the job done here going into map number 3, which is going to be Saravasa, I mean, what can you say other than you just got to get your synergy up?
Yeah, well, you know, we're going to have to figure that one out on the other side of this quick little break, you know, give the teams a little bit of time to figure it out. Maybe RRG just needs to yell at each other, figure out that synergy. But as Fletch said, we'll be right back on the other side of this with Saravasa, so don't go anywhere.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
I'm not crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
Welcome back, everybody. Right now, Outliers Esports. I mean, they've just got RRG on the ropes, right? And we talked about it. I think RRG right now are better mechanically, and I think that you share the same opinion. But you know, when their backs are against the walls, they just kind of disintegrate, right? They stop playing as a death ball, and they don't follow up on each other's damage. So despite Outliers getting very, very low all the time, not even just the Orisa, but all 5 players get low all the time, there's just no follow-up, and everybody's doing their own little 1v1, and right now RRG just can't keep up.
Yeah, you know, you came into this saying that Outliers has them on the ropes. I feel like RRG has themselves on the ropes, really, more than anything. Just...
Like
it's weird.
Patrick
it's like
punched in SpongeBob.
Yeah, exactly. Where they're just fighting themselves, but it's truly baffling to watch, and I don't mean to like rag on them or anything like that, because we truly believe that, you know, me and Fletcher spent the break talking. We truly believe this team is better. They could be doing a lot better. They could be winning this series, but it's like it's like up until the point where a team fight starts, they're good, and then as soon as it breaks out, they just all mute their mics. And they just stop talking, communicating, and it breaks down so oddly. But I don't know. Maybe this next map of Servasa could be the answer that they've been looking for, you know, to bring that synergy back in line. But I don't know. It's very baffling to say the least.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're going to try something new here. Because as far as maps go, Flashpoint is the most flexible right now, I feel like. Where, you know, obviously I still think that the Orisa is probably the best, and it, you know, it's probably what we're gonna see at the end of the day. I think that a change of pace could be good for RRG, especially if they're comfortable with like the Doomfist or the Junker Queen.
I mean, yes, the Doomfist I'd be more lenient towards, but the Junker Queen, like, as much as I love Junker Queen especially, it's just a matter of Orisa shuts her down so incredibly hard. Like, if you were a Junker Queen against an Orisa, if you've played that matchup at any elo from bronze to champion, you realize just how impossible it is as the Junker Queen. You can't create space. Your damage is not going to do anything. It's always just rough. So I'm more than expecting to see the Orisa mirror continue here, but again, just RRG, just sync it up, get in line, and start playing together. If that hog leaves the spawn room, I will give somebody like the 12 cents that's in my Cash App, because I have no faith that that hog is coming anywhere near the actual battlefield.
Oh, we got a substitution from Outliers. Yeah, Pig Boy coming in the lineup. Real Pig Boy? Real Pig Boy? If that's the real Pig Boy, I mean RRG might be on the comeback trail.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, actually Pig Boy
Yeah, the CGL site
the
is
ranked
primarily
demon
Python.
himself, but yeah, no, it would be interesting to see here. Both these teams are
Python Django is the CGL site primarily, with obviously the front end and back end.
Or at least for this first, or at least here for Servos, so they're gonna run to the center point, and with Outliers getting seems like the better positioning right now, it's just gonna come down to again this poke war, who can land a spear, who can land a rail, to really open this one up the best.
Alright, yeah, on the off angle, you saw there, Night Guy just chilling out. Pig Boy has a railgun built, as does Nene. They're trying to take care of Nene, who has to slide to safety, but is kind of cut off right now from the rest of their team. Kuzer, though, is going to be able to help Nene out to stay alive, and I mean, just look at Nene's health pool right now. Outliers Esports have got the flip, and Piercing is so low, does not survive there, and Outliers Esports will force RRG away.
And they were just so split. Like RRG, you know, your Sojourn has the Kiriko on one side of the point trying to heal him up and get back into the fight, and then the other side of the point you have your Orisa, your Tracer, and your Lucio all just kind of standing there like, guys, what are we supposed to do? Like, there's no movement, there's no decisions being made. They're just kind of sitting and waiting for Outliers to take these advantages, and Outliers is like, hey, if you want to give us all the time in the world, eventually we'll make it work. We'll land the damage where it needs to be done. So, I don't know.
Right now, Night Guy just is so happy to take advantage of the blind spots of Roadrunner Gaming. As you see, they know where Nonag is at. Night Guy has to just blink out for the time being as the Terra Surge comes out from Judge. No damage on the follow-up, though. Now RRG, I mean, they have to get something done with this Kitsune Rush, or market is going to go to Outliers Gaming, and they do get the job done. They kill Judge. They use the sound barrier to keep the aggression going in the face of the Kitsune Rush, but this fight is in the hands of RRG.
Yeah, they were able to flip the point at 99, so now they have to find a way to be able to hold it to get back that full 100% if they want to take this first point here. And expending both support ultimates, it's obviously going to be rough because now Aquatic has that sound barrier pretty much for free. It can be expended at any time, but more than likely to be held for Piercing's Terra Surge here. So I guess the real outlier is going to come down to Nonag on this Tracer, potentially landing this Pulse Bomb onto somebody like Pig Boy, who could overclock the whole field.
All right, here we go. Speaking of Pig Boys and overclocks, gonna throw out the ultimate for the time being. Does not find a target as it fades away. Not going to be able to get anything done with the overclock, but Pig Boy gonna find a target with the regular old railgun. Nene goes down, and as RRG crosses 80%, it's red in the kill feed, and Outliers Esports are able to push RRG off of the market.
Yes, they are, and so now, you know, heading on to our next point here, you're seeing how aggressively Outliers was playing to sort of push up, create as much space as humanly possible, but ultimately they realized, hey, we could just fall back to point. We don't have to take them in their spawn room of all things. But for the first time this map, RRG is going to come into this one with an ult advantage. So if they can find some value with these DPS ults, they should be able to sort of turn this fight in their favor rather quickly.
All right, here we go. It is Temple for the next one as the overclock comes out from Nene. Judge just needs to live and will do that for time being, just trying to get fancy with the footwork. Able to live there is the Orisa. So the first flip is going to go to RRG, but the first pick in this fight is going to go to Pig Boy. So, I mean, right now, Outliers have the numbers advantage, and Piercing is just surrounded. Absolutely nothing that the Orisa can do, and Outliers Esports are just overwhelming RRG right now.
Yeah, fancy little pulse being thrown in, more cosmetic than anything else, but it's just so odd. Judge is able to kind of walk past Piercing in that fight and create a circle around them, but you know, that is what it is. We're here in the present, and the present means Nene just found a pick onto Pig Boy, which could be RRG's sort of saving grace to come back into this one rather aggressively.
All right, 5 versus 4 for RRG. We'll see if they can follow up on it. They're going to try and force the follow-up with the Kitsune Rush from Kuzer. So they're going to push Outliers out. Pretty easy. That's all they needed was the Kitsune Rush, I guess.
Yeah, that nice little spear work coming in clutch. They're now just going to be kind of pushing the tempo even further, probably looking to see if they can get any more free picks like that one on the Judge here. And also in RRG, they got a little bit of oomph in their step, and they're willing to sort of keep rocking it forward here.
Yeah, I mean, Kuzer just shoved everyone out of the way with the Kitsune Rush. It was a really, really good ultimate there as Nonag, waiting, stalking, has the pulse bomb ready to go. Nobody's going to come from that way. I hate to break it to you, bud. We'll see if he can find something here with this pulse bomb as the Kitsune Rush comes out from Slick early, trying to do the same thing that Kuzer did in the previous fight. The overclock from Pig Boy has some potential here. Ugh, very, very interesting choice there from Nene, but able to survive for the time being. Outliers Esports have the health pool to stay alive right now as the pulse bomb comes out from Nonag. A great stick, but recall instantly from Night Guy. Nene able to take down the Tracer here. So as we get back into the bumper cars with the Arissas, it should be RRG. Well, I say should be. They're able to take down a few pickles right now for Outliers. As the overclock comes out from Nene, they're just trying their damnedest to put this point away right now, and Nene does just that. Nice little headshot there as Kuzer cleans it up, and Temple will go over to RRG.
Yeah, they had to, you know, it was not the cleanest thing in the world, but they dug their claws in deep and they refused to move themselves, so able to take that, ties us up on the scoreboard to 1-1. Outliers not going to be able to get to this point first. It will be RRG again in control here, and they even have the Kitsune Rush to boot right now versus Outliers only really coming up towards this pulse bomb. So unless Night Guy can really hit it big, it should be RRG's, you know, fight to lose at this point.
All right, here we go. Kuzer has this Kitsune Rush. We'll see if they will invest it. Not just yet. Here we go. Kitsune Rush out from Kuzer. Now that's the go button. Oh my god, what a spear from Piercing. Right into the mixer goes Pig Boy. Nene's able to clean that up, and the aggression from RRG starting that fight out on their own terms. They get the first flip.
Yeah, and they get it in a pretty resounding fashion. They only had to expend the Kitsune Rush, and so now they're able to build towards some of their other ultimates. Nothing too crazy, just a pulse bomb to their name now. But Outliers looking for a solid re-engage. They're going to have a Kitsune Rush of their own here soon enough, as well as, again, Night Guy never expended that pulse bomb, so it'll be the tale of two Tracers here, looking to see who can find the most value.
All right, here we go. Night Guy getting checked by Nonag right now as the Kitsune Rush comes out from Slick. No, that is the worst case scenario for Outliers Esports, throwing out the Kitsune Rush but losing a player instantly. A great kite from RRG, followed up by a Terra Surge from Judge. Not going to find a target. Can they find the pick on the Kuzer? They can't get the job done. The Kiriko is going to stay alive as a Night Guy returns to the fight. Judge does not appear to have any cooldowns left to stay alive. Ugh! Night Guy, what was that? Not even being able to see Kuzer there. The overclock from Nene, not gonna find a target. But Outlier Esports, I mean, Piercing appearing to tab out. Just nothing is happening here for RRG. They cross 60% for Outliers.
And it's just baffling because RRG literally had every advantage. They got the early pick. They even got the second pick in that fight onto Pig Boy. There was a point where it was 5v3 and Night Guy still coming back. And somehow, some way, Outliers is able to sustain properly enough to get everybody back into this fight and get the damage done where it needed to be. So now it is on RRG to try to touch this point before it's too late.
All right, here we go. Kitsune Rush from, or not Kitsune Rush, but overclock from Pig Boy. That's a different mammal there, as Night Guy's able to take down Nene, followed up on the damage, slides away from the pulse bomb, does Pig Boy. Kitsune Rush has to be big from Kuzer. They're going to be able to push Outliers back, and they're going to be able to take down Judge. So an early pick on the Orisa is good, but it's a trade, and I mean, the late ultimate is always going to be the better ultimate, especially if you can stabilize the two great shots like that from Pigboy 3 for the Sojourn to clean up Garden, and we're at a map match point for Outliers Esports.
Yes, indeed. Now we're heading on over to Ruins for our next point, potentially our final point here in Outlier Esports. It's a race against the clock right now. They want to be the first ones in this point. They want to be able to hold the space and have control over it because they have the ult advantage. RRG, they have nothing. It truly is going to come down to raw mechanics if RRG can pull this one out. But, you know, by all statistics, Outlier should be able to have a very easy first cap here.
Here we go, RRG, they have the positioning on the point. Night Guy has 6 HP. Lucky that Pickles did not see that and throw out the sound wave there. As, I mean, Pigboy already, this fight might already be over. Maybe not, though. Outliers Esports, they get the trade and the overhealth from the sound barrier, and that's going to be able to put Outliers ahead. That extra health making them more durable. They're going to get the flip. 25% for RRG, though, so not the worst start possible.
No, not the worst start indeed. And you're seeing RRG actually switch Kuzer over to the Moira now. Moira means you have to play pretty much at the fastest tempo that you can with this composition. You don't have time to wait for the heals. You don't have time for a cleanse. It's simply go, go, go. And if you don't kill something pretty early, it's not going to work out in your favor. So you're going to have to see RRG pick up the pace here.
Full map from Nonag, wide right there, unfortunately, for the Tracer. Night Guy also threw out theirs, as did Judge throw out the Terra Surge. So we'll see Pigboy, can they find something with this Railgun Aquatic for Nonag, though? But losing, I mean, this is not looking good for RRG, especially with Pigboy's overclock on the field. Too much damage to overcome, and they're going to be lucky if they get another touch.
Yeah, the touches might have to come through from Nonag. I don't know where that Tracer is, but currently going to be probably hunted down by Night Guy here, or at least attempting to stall. Because, yeah, Outliers, they're in potential striking distance to win this whole series. It will come down to if there's even a touch, but I don't think there is, because...
No. Nonag cannot cross the line on to the point, and the curse continues for RRG. They get swept or they sweep, and today they get swept. Outlier Esports is going to be able to take this series. It was a close game, right? Like, it was super, super close for the most part, but RRG just kept shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I want to, give props to Outliers for a moment. They played well. They had their synergy in check. They come away with a solid win, move themselves up into I believe it's a guaranteed 4th place now at that 5-3 mark, which is super, super nice for seedings. But yeah, RRG, I don't know, like it almost felt like it had to be intentional, right? It was some sort of self-sabotage or something going on, because they truly just would break down in the middle of fights. The shot calling would stop, there'd be no communication, whatever the case may be, and they would lose fights that they simply were in situations where they couldn't be lost. I don't know what happened or what have you, but hopefully they take this time. They have a locked in spot in the playoffs as well, so maybe take the time, sort out those communication issues, whatever it may be, and get yourselves on the same page, because you don't want a whole season to go to waste just going out in playoffs 0-2.
Yeah, and to their credit, I think mechanically these players are great for RRG, right? I know you agree, but man, they just kept tripping over themselves. An Outlier, as much as it sounds like we're trying to blame RRG for this loss rather than giving Outliers their props, they did a great job at following up on the mistakes that RRG were making. Because if you don't have the capacity to take advantage of mistakes, and you are, the worst mechanical team, you're just gonna lose because you get out-aimed. And Outliers, despite being, in my opinion, slightly worse mechanically, I mean, they were able to take advantage and push into those cracks and, you know, make them bigger, right? They were able to break through the wall of RRG fairly consistently, and because of that, you know, all 3 maps were relatively close, but Outliers were the ones that had the ice in the veins, right? They were the ones that came out on top, and they were the ones that showed that they had more clutch.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful play from them. I mean, Outliers, there was not a single time that I saw a spear get landed that I didn't immediately see it followed up by either a tracer or a railgun connecting. And that's how you have to play this comp, having that synergy, being on the same pace the entire time, right? And yeah, so now that you're looking towards the postseason, you're really starting to think about it. You know, Outliers, you know, they have the potential to punch up. Clearly, they've got this sort of teamwork and synergy down pat, and I'd absolutely love to see how they do. You know, especially again, they have some pretty good seeding. Number 4 seed coming out of this group means you're not going to have to face anyone crazy. It's 5. It's a 5. Am I crazy?
The 4 seed is sitting at 5-1 right now.
That is true. I can't do math. Anyway, still good seeding. You're not going to have to face some crazy difficult team right off the bat. So hopefully you can come away. And plus, Outliers, again, they have the toughest strength of schedule outside of Cowboy B-Hop. So, you know, they've clearly been punching up the entire season long, and it shows from their synergy and stuff. So I'm more than happy to see these guys prosper in a playoff situation. But
yeah,
that will be in 2 weeks' time, and we still have more games to go through this week.
Yeah, so it'll be RRG locked into the 6th spot, Outliers in the 5th spot. Not a bad place to start. You know, it's a good place to try and get warm for the playoffs. So best of luck to Roadrunners and Outliers as they head into the CGL Season 13 playoffs. And that will do it for us tonight, unless, Megalas, you have anything else to say?
I want to go to bed.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so Megalas, go get tucked in and whatnot. And yeah, thank you all for watching. And I guess we will see y'all tomorrow afternoon, because you can't get away. Y'all can't get away from us. No.
Oh yeah, no, they're stuck with us.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll be back tomorrow afternoon with some EU action, and it should be a great time. So we will see y'all then. Thank you all for watching, and have a great night.